Okay, so before we move on to make this application, we first of all need to download a module called MoviePy that can help us to convert MP4 file to MP3 file. Okay, so if you're using Windows, open your command line, and if you're using Linux or Mac, then open your terminal. But if you're using PyCharm, then you can open your terminal inside of it just by clicking on this option which says terminal. And now right in here, we can just download any module just by typing pip install and then the name of the module. In this case, we want to download a module called MoviePy. And now hit enter, and it will start installing that module on your computer. And make sure that you have your internet connection before you install this module on your computer. So it may take like 1 or 2 minutes depending upon your internet connection. And once it is done, then you are up and ready to move on to make this application that will convert video file to audio file. Okay, so first of all, we're going to import each and everything that we will require in making this application. So first of all, I'm going to import the thread class from the threading module. So let's type here from threading, import the thread module. Next, I'm going to be importing the video file clip class from MoviePy that we've installed in the previous video. So it is MoviePy.editor. We're going to be importing a class video file clip. Okay, next, I'm going to be importing the ask open file class from Tkinter. So let's type here from Tkinter dot file dialog. We're gonna be basically importing a class. Basically, it is a function called ask open file. Okay. Next, we're gonna be importing the MD relative layout from KiwiMD. So from KiwiMD.uix dot relative layout, we're gonna be importing the MD relative layout. Okay, and next, I'm going to be importing the MD app class from KiwiMD as well. So from KiwiMD dot app, we're going to be importing MD app. Okay, next, we're going to be importing the label class, and this time from kiwi.uix dot. First of all, let us import the label class. Next, we're going to be importing the image class as well from the same place. So from kiwi.uix dot image, we're going to be importing this class image. Okay, next, we're going to be importing the button class as well. So from kiwi.uix dot button, we're going to be importing the button class. Okay, next, I'm going to be importing the window class as well. So from Kiwi, and I need to import it from kiwi.core from .window. We're going to be importing this class, this thing called window. Okay, now we have imported each and everything that we're going to be needing in making this application. And now what I'm going to do is that I will create a class, and now inside of that class, I will just write down my entire code for this application. Okay, so you can just name your class anything you want, but say that I'll just name my class as my app. And now to this class, what I will do is that I will just pass on this class MD app that we have imported in this video. Okay, now inside of that class, I will have my build method. So that's my build method. And now the first thing inside of my build method is that I will just be creating the layout and I will actually be displaying my window. So I will just create a variable layout and I'm going to be putting it equal to MD relative layout that we have imported previously. And now this function or this method will return this layout. Okay, so now let's just call this function using the main method. So let's say that if name underscore is equal to the main function, what I'm going to do is that I need to call this function build. So I'll just say that it's actually inside of this class my app, and now in order to call this function, we actually need to call this run method, which is actually inside of Kiwi. So this run method will actually execute this build method. So, and this build method is actually returning this relative layout. So make sure that you have these two round brackets as well. Okay, so just by having these lines of code, you will have a window with some default width and height. So let me just execute this specific file, which is mp4.mp3. And now you can just see that we have this window, but it is not looking pretty good. The height and width is just so much. We're going to be decreasing the height and width, and then we're going to be setting a background color to this window as well. So let's just first of all set the size of this window to something else. So we have imported the this thing, and now with this thing we will just reset the size. So just using, I will just use this attribute size, and this is just going to be equal to a tuple. And now inside this tuple, I can just pass the width and height for. So for the width, I will just say it will be 500 pixels, and for the height, it will be 600 pixels. Okay, so now we just execute this application. Now you will just see that it is now looking pretty decent. And now inside of this window, I will be just be putting all kinds of widgets, my buttons, my labels, and my file dialog, and my MP3 file, my MP4 file, everything that I actually need for this application. Okay, now the final thing, what I will do is that I will actually change the background color on this window to something else. And I actually love the light pink color. So what I'm going to do is that I will just use this attribute mdbg underscore color is going to be equal to a list. And now inside of this list, I actually need to pass the RGB value of any color that I want. So you can just Google the RGB value of any color of your choice. But I'm going to be putting the light pink color. And just remember that it must be in between the value from 0 to 1. So the RGB value of light pink color is 248. And then 200, 200, and then 220. Okay, then actually I need to divide it by 255 because the RGB value is from 1 to, the RGB values are from 1 to 255, 256 actually, 255. So it is actually from 0 to 255. So I actually need to divide it by 255 so that I can actually get the value from 0 to 1. Okay, so yeah, that's all I need to be doing. And now just execute this whole code. You're just gonna see this light pink color on my window. Okay, so I have this image that I downloaded from the internet, and what I'm going to do is that first of all, I'm going to put this image on my GUI window. So let's do it. So this image is actually in my project location, mp3.png. This is what I named it, and now I'm going to be creating an image. So right in here, I will just name my image as img. You can just name it anything you want, and I'm going to put it equal to a built-in class basically that we've imported from Kiwi, which is image. Okay, the first thing that I'm going basically passing is what is actually that image that you want to port. So for this, you actually need to use this attribute source, and since it is placed directly in my project location, so I can just simply directly specify its name, mp33 png. But if that file is placed somewhere else on your computer, then you need to paste the exact location right here where that image is placed on your computer. But since it is placed in my project location, so I can actually directly access it just by specifying its name. Okay, so that's the source. Next, I'm going to be defining the size of it. So I'm going to say that the size of it is just going to be equal to a tuple, and it will be zero point 0.5 and then zero point 0.5. Okay, so that's the size font. Next, we will just define where we want to put. So the position hint is just going to be equal to a dictionary, and that is center x is 0 0.5 and then center underscore y. For center underscore y, let's just put it to 0.85. And yeah, that's all we're going to be doing for that image. All we need to do is to actually put this image in our layout. So it will be layout dot add widget self dot img, and yeah, that's all we need to be doing. Now let's just execute this application, and you should be able to see this image, which is our title image, because this is what this application will do. So we'll just take the MP4 file and then we'll just convert it into MP3 file. Okay, so yeah, let's just add more labels, more widgets. I mean, so the next thing I will just put is basically the file chooser label, and the file chooser label will actually ask the user to select any file, any video file that you want to convert. So right in here, I will just name this label as a chooser file chooser label, and I'm going to be putting it equal to this label class. And First of all, I need to define the text on this label, and it's going to be please select the video. Please select the video to convert. Okay, so yeah, let's just add more things. And now where we want to put this label, so it's going to be position hand. Yeah, position hand is just going to be equal to a dictionary, and for center underscore x it will be 0.5, and then for center underscore y, for center underscore y, let's send it to 0.60, 0.60. And actually in here let's just change it to zero point 0.4, because next to this file chooser label I will have a button, a select button, and the user will click on that button and then choose any video file from his computer or his phone. Okay, so 0.60 is the y position, and center x is going to be 0.4. Okay, so next we're going to be defining a size. So I will just use this attribute size. Yep. Size and is just going to be equal to say that it will be 1 by 1. Okay, so that's the size, and then the font. Let's just first of all set the font size to 20, and let's just set the color of the text to well, I think red colors will be okay. So it will be 1 0 and then 0. So 1 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue. Okay, so now we have created this label. Let's just add it out to our widget. So self dot file chooser label. Okay, so now let's just execute this code, and you will just see that it's saying that please select the video to convert. I know it is not looking at the right place, but now what we're going to do is that we will just create a button next to it, and that button is going to be select button, and when that button gets clicked, it will actually open the file dialog menu, and then the user can actually select any video file using that file dialog window from his phone or from his computer to convert that file into MP3. So let's just create this button. So right in here, I'm going to be creating this button. Okay, so first of all, let me just minimize this thing, and yeah. So self dot, I'll just name this button as select button. You can just name it anything you want and put it equal to the built-in class button in Kiwi. Okay, and then the text on this button is going to be the select text. Next, I will just define the size hint. So size hint is just going to be none, none. Yes, we're going to be setting our own size. So size here is going to be none, none, and then the position of it is going to be 375 along x-axis and 340 along y-axis. Okay, so that's the position. Next, we're going to be setting the height. So height is going to be 40 pixels. And yeah, I think these attributes are enough. And now let's just execute this whole code. You will just see, actually you will see nothing because we haven't added our select button to our layout. So layout dot add widget self dot select button. Okay, now let's just execute this code, and this time you should be able to see this button, and you can just see that you're just seeing this button, and now it's not doing anything because we haven't instructed anything. But what we're going to do is that when once this button gets clicked, it should be able to open a file dialog window, and then through that file dialog window, the user can choose any location, any file that they want to convert. So what I'm going to do is that I will actually bind this button to a function. And actually, what I'm going to say that when this button gets clicked, it should actually invoke a function, and that function will actually open that file dialog window, and then through that file dialog window, the user can choose any video file from his computer or from his phone. So right in here, what I'm going to do, I can actually do it something like on press, or I can actually bind an event to it, or I can just do it simply like this on press. it's just going to be equal to a function. And so we will just name this function as file chooser. Okay, so that's going to be the function. Now we haven't created this function yet. So let's just create this function first of all. And let's just create this function right here. So def, then name this function, it takes no argument except the self. And now we will not be doing anything for now. Okay, now I'm going to be creating the location label and then the convert button. So let's do it. So right in here, I will just say that self dot location label is just going to be equal to the label class, and initially the text on it will be empty. And that because so the location label is going to be the label in which we will display the position or the location of the file that is being chosen using the file dialog window. So once it actually open the file dialog window, and this select button will actually open this function file chooser, and this function will actually open the file dialog window. And once the user choose that location, then we're going to be displaying that location on this label that we named as location label. So initially it will be empty, but once the user will select that location, then we're going to be setting the text of on that location label to that location. Okay, so initially the text on it will be empty. Next, we're going to be defining where we want it. So it is going to be position hint is just going to be equal to a dictionary. And we will just say that center X will be zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5. Next, I will just say that center Y. So center Y will be 0.20. Next, I will just set the size. So I will just say that size hint, not size jaunt. So size hint is just going to be equal to 1 by 1. Next, I will just say that what's going to be the font size. So font size is just going to be equal to 20. Next, I'm going to say that what's going to be the color. So the color will be equal to red. So 100. So that's the RGB value of red. So now we have this location label. Um, well, actually, we will not be displaying this label at this moment on our window. So I will just set the Y position to 20, which is the position where this label will not be visible along Y axis, means that it will not be visible in the window as well. And that because once and the user will actually select that location of the video file from the file dialog window, then we're going to be setting the text, and then we're going to be displaying that location label on our window, and then we're going to be resetting the center Y position of my location label. But for now it will be 20, means that it will not be visible inside of my window. Okay, so next we need to create the convert button as well. So let's just create that convert button. Convert button, I just named it as convert button, but you can just name it anything you want. Okay, now this convert button will be for say that when the user click on that convert button, it will actually convert that video file that the user will choose using the file dialog window, and then will convert into MP3 file. So for now, we will just say that, oops, not like this. The text on it will be convert. The text on it will be convert. Next, we just need to define the position of it. So position hint is going to be center underscore X will be 0.5, and then center underscore Y. Center underscore Y is just going to be equal to, so center underscore Y will be equal to 20 as well. And that's because we don't want the convert button to be visible on our screen. But once the user actually select the location, the video file using the file dialog window, then this location label will be visible, and then this convert button will be visible as well. But for now, both of these things will not be visible until the user selects the user select the video file using the file dialog window. Okay, so now let's just move to the next line. Okay, so now right in here, let's just make this button more prettier by setting the size hint. So size hint is just going to be equal to a tuple, and it will be zero point 0.2 and then zero point 0.1. Okay, so that's the size hint. And next we're going to be setting, well, let's just set the size as well. So size will be 75 and then 75 in height, 75 in width, and 75 in height. Okay, so next, we will just say that the font name is just gonna be equal to again the same font that I'm just using for our application comic, but you can just change it to Serial or Magenta or any font name of your choice. Okay, so it's going to be comic for mine, and then I will just say that bold is equal to 2. Next, I will just set the font size. So font size is going to be equal to 24. Yep. Next, I will just set the background color of this convert button. So I'll just say that our background color is going to be an RGB value. So let's just set it to green. So 0 for red, 1 for green, and then 0 for blue. So that's the background color, which is blue. And then when this button gets clicked, it's gonna actually invoke a function, and that function will actually convert that video file into audio file. So I actually need to bind an event to it, and that event is going to be on press. Means that when this button gets pressed or clicked. So when this button gets pressed, I'm gonna actually invoke a function, and I will just name this function as write audio right audio thread. So this is the function that I will just name, and let's just create it. Let's just do it right now. So copy, and I'm going to create it right here. So dev, and then name its function, it takes no argument, and for now it will not be doing anything. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing for this video. Actually, do not need to run this application because both of these label and convert button will not be visible, but it will be visible once the user selects something using the file dialog window, and the file dialog window will appear when the user click on the select button, and when the select button gets clicked, it can actually invoke this function file chooser, and this file chooser will actually display that file dialog window, and then using that file dialog window we can choose any video file from your computer or from your phone. Okay, so when the select button gets clicked, it's gonna invoke this function file chooser, and now let's just work inside this file chooser function. So in here, previously there was nothing, but now we're gonna be displaying the file dialog window inside of that function. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'll create a variable file, and I'm going to put it equal to ask open file. And we have previously imported it from Decanter, and then we have imported this thing file dialog. So now we're going to actually call this function ask open file. And now in here, I'm going to set the mode equal to R, which actually mean read, because I'm going to be only reading files using the file dialog window. Okay, now the second argument I will just be passing is the types of files that I want to open. And since we will only be selecting the video file so that we can actually convert it into audio files, so we will just be for the file types will just be MP4 files. So now right in here I will just say that it is MP4 file. So MP4 file, and because we just want to select MP4 files that ends with .mp4 extension, .mp4, and this actually means that the name of the file could be anything, but it should actually ends with .mp4. Okay, so we are actually reading the files, and we are reading the MP4 files that ends with .mp4 extension. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I will just create a variable, and I will just name it as MP4 file, and I'm going to put it equal to self dot this variable file. Basically, this thing is actually returning the whole MP4 file, and then let's say that the user will select some kind of file, and now we just want to get the name of that file. So I'm going to actually use this attribute name to get the name of that file, that basically this function will actually return after we select some kind of MP4 file from our computer or from your phone. Okay, so now we are actually getting the name, and now I'm gonna be so once the once the MP4 file gets converted into MP3 file, so for this, I will just be storing the name of it in this variable MP3 file, and now this is going to be equal to self dot MP4 file. MP4 file. So let me just first of all type and then I'll explain. So MP4, and then we want to replace it with MP3. Okay, so this actually means the name of the file, the MP4 file, will be stored in this variable MP4 file. And now what I'm going to do is what I'm actually doing is that I'm actually from that MP4 file, I'm actually replacing the extension MP4 with MP3. Means that this is now our MP3 file, and then we are storing that MP3 file in this variable MP3 file. So hope it is actually making sense. And next, now since the user has actually chosen the location using the file dialog window using this function ask open file, and now we have the name of that file. And now what I'm going to do is that so now we will have that location. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to actually basically previously we have that location label and the text of it is actually nothing, and then the y location is out of my screen. But now we're going to be setting the location label to that location that the user has chosen. So right in here, what I'm going to do is a self dot location label. First of all, I'm going to be setting the text, and then the text of it is just going to be equal to my MP4 file. So MP4 file, because in the MP4 file we actually have the name of that file that we want to convert. Is basically that entire path that actually ends with that MP4 file. Okay, so now we have that MP4 file, and now I need to basically place that location label in the right position as well. So it's just going to be equal to position here, which is going to be dictionary. And now in here, the center X position is going to be the same. So center X position is going to be 0 0.5, and then the center Y position is going to be changed. And this time it's going to be at, yeah, it is going to be at zero point 0.5. Yeah, it's going to be at zero point 0.5 location. Okay, so now once we have that location, we now have chosen that MP4 file. Now we're going to actually display that MP4 button as well, basically that convert button as well. So previously we had this convert button, but it is actually out of my screen. You can see I'm just setting the center Y position to 20. But once we have that location. Now, once we have that file on our location label, now we want to actually convert that file. So now we're going to be actually displaying the convert button as well. So let's say that self dot convert button dot position hint, which is going to be equal to a dictionary, and the center X position is going to be the same, which is 0 0.5, while the center Y position, so center underscore Y position is going to be 0.35. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing in this file chooser function. And now let's just execute this code. Yep, let's just execute this code. And okay, so we're actually getting this error, which is saying that property background passed in it may not be existing property name. And let's just see what this error is actually saying. Okay, convert button. Okay, means that there is something wrong inside of the convert button. Is it? Yeah, let's just check it out. Okay, so convert button, we have the sizing, position, font name, font size, background. I think that there is something wrong right here. So, so yeah, I think it is background. And then we have background underscore color. Okay, so now it should work absolutely fine. And now let's just execute this whole code once again. And now you're going to see that, first of all, we have this image, and then it's saying, please select the video to convert. And now we can actually click on the select button, which will just go to that file location label. Let's just go there. Okay, so it will actually go to this function file choosers once I actually click on the select button. And what you're going to do is that it will just open the file dialog window, and then it's just gonna and then we can actually select the MP4 file. So let's just do it. Okay, so um let me just execute it once again, and now let's just see. It's clicking this thing and it's saying that takes one position. Okay. So since to that file chooser function, so right in here, once the user actually clicking on it, since I'm actually binding an event to it, so what I'm going to do is that I actually need to pass that event right here as well. So yup, and now I just execute this whole code. Okay, so now it should work absolutely fine. Okay, so now you can just see that it is actually opening this file dialog window, and now you can see that I can actually go to any location of my choice. But say that I have lots of MP4 files. Now say that I will just choose this location. Basically, it is actually inside my PC, and then this D drive, and then inside my songs folder. Yep. Let's just choose this thing right here, and it should actually display. Okay, so what's wrong in this? Okay, so let me just close it and see what is wrong. Okay, so in here we have the location label. Okay, so the reason it is not displaying this location label is because we haven't added both of these widgets. So we have added the select button, and now we actually need to add the location label. So self.location label. Next, I need to add the convert button as well. So convert button. Okay, so now let's just execute this whole code once again. And now let's just select any file of my choice. Let's just say it is basically this file. And now you can just see that it's actually displaying the exact location of that file, which is inside my D drive and then songs, and then the name of this file that is actually ending with this short MP4 extension. And now this convert button will actually do nothing. And that's because basically, just minimize it. This convert button is actually calling a function which is write audio thread, because inside of this write audio thread, we have nothing. So, okay, so once this convert button gets clicked, it is actually invoking this function write audio thread, and it's the function that we're gonna work in this video. So in here, so first of all, what this write audio function will do is that it will actually create a thread, and that thread will actually target a function, and that function will actually convert the video file that we have selected into audio file. Okay, so let's do it. So right in here, first of all, it will actually create a thread, and we will just name it as thread one. And I'm going to put it equal to a class that we've imported from the threading module, and that class is named as thread. Okay, and the first thing I want to target is actually a function, and that function, we'll just name this function as write um, audio. You can just name it anything you want. And once you have created that thread, you actually need to start it as well. So I hope that you actually know what threading is. So threading is actually starting a new process inside of another process. So what it actually do is that it actually is actually kind of a small process that will be executed in parallel to other tasks. So, well, you can actually start writing the audio directly inside of this function, but I'm going to be creating a separate thread to write the audio. So right in here, I'm going to actually create that function, and I just name that function as write audio. So in here, it will be just be the same. So write audio, and now I just work inside of that function. Okay, so first of all, in here, I will just create a variable, and I'll just name the variable as video, and I'm going to put it equal to that class, which is actually inside of my movie pie that we've imported previously. So that class, this thing, and now inside of that class, we first of all need to pass that video file that we want to convert. So it is actually, we have stored that file in this variable MP4, which is actually this variable. So previously, it was actually this variable MP4 file that we have stored over video, and it's actually basically this path that is actually so this class will actually go to this path where this video is available, and then we'll actually take that video, and now we will actually convert that video into audio. Okay, so right in here, now I will just create a variable audio. So self dot audio, and I'm going to put it equal to self dot video, which is actually this variable. And now I want to convert it into an audio. And what it will do is that it will actually take the audio part, it will actually take the audio part and then store it in this variable audio. And now we have the audio. All we need to do is to actually write down that audio. So right in here, I will just say that self dot audio dot write audio file. And what it will do is that it will start writing. It will actually start extracting only the audio part from the video. Okay, so now in here, we actually need to pass that MP3 file. So MP3 file, so it is self dot MP3 file, which is basically this variable. Okay, so now we have that variable as well, which is going to be the name of my basic MP3 file. So it is actually going to be the same, but it will only be replaced. The extension will only be replaced from MP4 to MP3 because this is actually going to be my MP3 file. Okay, so in here it will actually convert it. And now what we're going to do is that we will close the audio because we do not need it further once it has actually, and now we will actually close the video as well because we do not need it as well because it has successfully converted the video into audio. Okay, so yeah, now what we can do is that we can actually execute this whole code and it will convert that audio file that we want to convert. So let's just execute this whole code. Okay, so I'm gonna actually I'm gonna actually be taking a small file so that it doesn't take much time. And I believe, um, yeah, let's just convert this MP4 file. So we have this MP4 file, and now when it's going to click on the convert button, it will now actually convert that file into audio file. And obviously, it will take some time to convert this video file into audio file. But actually, we're actually getting this error, which is saying that takes one position argument, but two were given. And that's because right here inside of this convert function, convert button, we actually have bind it to an event, which is the onPress event. And now what we actually need to be doing is that right in here, this event is going to be received as well. Okay, so now I have to execute this whole code. But actually, what I'm going to do once it has successfully write down the video into audio, then I will just basically say that completed successfully. Okay, so now let me just execute this whole code once again. And now we can just choose again the same file and say that it is again going to be the same file, which is basically this MP4 file. And now let's just click on the convert button, and you can just see that it is actually now writing audio and it has been successfully completed. And you can just see that it is saying that previously it was saying that it is actually writing audio in the same location from where it has taken that video. And now it is just saying that movie.find done means that it has successfully write down that audio, and now we're actually printing out this message saying that completed successfully. Okay, now let's just see this thing right in here. So that was actually my MP4 file, and now that is actually my MP3 file. So let's just go to its properties right in here, and you can see that it's now .mp3 file. And means that it has now successfully converted this MP4 file into MP3 file. Okay, so yeah, now the final thing that I will be doing is that I will be creating another label which will actually print this thing out once it has successfully what's successfully write down that audio. So right in here, I will actually be creating, what I'm going to do is that I will actually copy this label and I'm going to actually paste it right in here, and I will just name it as success label. Okay, so the text on it will be nothing, and at this moment it will be at this position, and yeah. And now what I'm going to do is that once it is being successfully, first of all, let me just add it to my layout. So layout dot add widget self dot success label. And now right in here, once it has successfully completed it, then what I'm going to do is that I will just say that self dot success label dot text is just going to be equal to successfully converted, and then I will just define the position of it. So position hint is just going to be equal to dictionary, and center underscore x will be 0.5, and center underscore y. So for center underscore y, it will be at 0.1. I believe that. Where is my convert button? So I have placed my convert button in here. My convert button is yeah, right in here. So it was at 0.35, and now this thing should appear below it, so it will be at point 2. Yup. And now let's just execute this whole code once again. Okay, so well, let's just select some file, and let's just see if you can see that success label or not. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna actually this time let's just say that yeah, I'm gonna actually choose the same file. So yeah, and now let's just click on the convert button. Okay, so you can just see that it is saying that it is actually writing audio, and now you can just see that we have this label successfully converted. Okay, so yeah, I think that we are now pretty much done with this application. But now, what you can do is that right in here. Okay, so I'm gonna actually explain this thing to you in the next video, or maybe let's just do it right now, or let's just do it as an assignment, because it's not difficult at all. So right in here, for the validation part of this application, what you can do is that right in here, once it is actually writing this thing, once they're actually writing that audio file, so it may be possible there is some kind of error. So in here, what you can do is that you can actually put it inside the try and except log. So try and except log, and in here, if that's the case, then what you're gonna do is that you're gonna actually put actually inside this whole thing in the try block. So first of all, what it will do is that first of all, it will just try to write the audio and then just display this label. But if there is some kind of error, then it's gonna come inside except log, and I'll say that you will have another label, and that is going to be the error label. So previously, once the video has been successfully converted into audio, you're actually seeing this message successfully converted. But now, say that there is some kind of problem in writing audio, then what you're going to do is that it will just come inside the except log. And what you can do is that you can actually create another label, and that is going to be your error label. And now if it just come to the except log, then the text of that except label will be say that it will be error writing audio, um, and then say that it will be please try again. So that will be some kind of message. I'm actually printing it out on the console screen, but you're just gonna display this thing on a label on your window. So instead of basically displaying this thing once it is successfully converted, but if there's some kind of error, then instead of this label, you should see the error label, which will say this thing, error writing audio, please try again, at the exactly same location, which is actually this location where we were just seeing successfully converted, in case the video file has been successfully converted into the audio file. Okay, so that was the validation part. Just do it as your assignment. So first of all, we just imported each and everything. Well, this threading module is actually not important. This what it actually do is that it actually creates a separate process which will run in parallel to the main process. So I like to do things using threading whenever I'm actually making applications in Python or any programming languages. So that is why I've used threading. But in your case, you can just make this application without threading as well. Okay, next we just imported the MoviePy module, and make sure that you have installed the MoviePy module, because it is actually going the MoviePy module that will help us in making this application. And then we just from tkinter.file we just imported this ask open file, which will help us to choose any MP4 file from your computer or from your phone, and then we just imported all these things from Kiwi and then Kiwi MD, and then we just have some appropriate size for our window. Next, we have this class my app, and our main method is actually calling this run method, and this run method, you know that it will actually execute this build method. Okay, so first of all, I'm actually displaying my MD relative layout, which will actually display my window with light pink background, and you can just choose any RGB value of your choice. So say that you just want a different color, then just simply search out the RGB value of that color. So say that you just want um, light yellow color, so light yellow color. Then what you can do is that you can just simply Google this thing or just type what is the RGB RGB value of light yellow. Or what you can do is that just go ahead and just search the RGB values of all colors. So it's just going to show you the color, and then next to it, it will just display the RGB value of all the colors that we have. So just simply type the RGB value and then divide this value by 255. And then you will have that color. And I'm actually setting the light pink background color for my window. Next, I'm actually displaying this window at the right position. And then we have the file chooser label, which is actually asking the user to please select the video to convert. And I'm actually displaying at the right position, font size, and then I'm just giving it a color of red. Okay, so next I'm actually displaying this select button, which is actually bind to an event, which is the on press event. So I actually need to pass that on press event to that function, so that is going to be executed once this button gets pressed. So make sure that you just pass that event. So the file chooser function, so right in here we have this file chooser function, and you can just see that I'm actually passing that event, which is the on press event, because without it, it will not be passed to this function, and it will actually do nothing. So make sure that you actually pass that event. Okay, so we have the select button, and then we have the location label. So at this moment, it is actually not visible, but once the user select any video from his computer or from his phone, that location is going to be displayed on your on this label at this location. Basically not this location. We have actually updated the position once the user actually selects something using the select button. And then we have the convert button, and you know that the convert button will also be displayed once the user has chosen some video file from his computer or from his phone. And the convert buttons actually bind to this function, which is the write audio thread. You can actually simply directly pass that function, and that function will directly convert that video file into audio file. But what I've done is that I've actually passed it to write audio thread, and then that thread has actually started a new process, and that new process is actually doing the job of conversion. Okay, so again, I have bind it to an event. I have bound this button to an event. So make sure that you just pass that on press event to this write audio thread function, just like we have done in case of the select button. Okay, so next we have the success label, and the success label will be displayed once the file has been successfully converted into MP3 file. And again, it is actually not visible at this moment, but it will be visible once the file has been successfully converted into MP3 file. Okay, so next in here, you can just see that once the select button gets clicked, it's actually calling this file chooser function. So let's just go to this file chooser function. So the file chooser function is just simply opening this file dialog window, and in here we have specified that we only want to read the MP4 file. So it gonna only display the MP. You may have like many other types of files on your computer or on your or on your phone, but it can only display the MP4 files because this is what we are interested in. But say that you just want some other types of files, then here you just need to specify the extension of those files. Okay, so next we have store the name of the file using file dot using this name attribute, which is actually inside this file, and then we're storing that file name right here in this variable file name. And then we're actually storing the MP3 file. Well, the name of the file is going to be the same, but only the extension is going to be different. MP4 file is saved with MP4 extension, but here we're actually replacing that file extension with MP3 because our MP3 file extension is going to be .mp3. So that is why we have actually replaced it to MP3. So this actually means that MP3 file that this variable MP3 file is going to be equal to whatever we have in MP4 file, but that MP4 extension will just be converted into MP3 extension. And that is going to be the name of my MP3 file. Okay, so once the user has chosen that location using the file dialog window, then we're going to display that location. So the location is actually stored in this variable MP4 file. So we're going to display that location right here at this position. So previously it was outside out of the window, but now we specified the center Y position to be 0.5, so that is actually visible inside of my window. Okay, next, we actually want to display the convert button as well once the user has chosen that video file that he want to convert. So that is why we're actually setting the Y position of the convert button to 0.35. Okay, so this is what this file chooser function will do. And in here, you can see that we now have the convert button on our window at this position. So now what this convert button will do is that it will actually call. So right in here, once we have this convert button, we have bind it to an event, and that event will call this function write audio thread. So if it is pressed 10 times, it's going to call this function 10 times. So it's going to call this function write audio thread. So let's just go to this function write audio thread, and this write audio thread is actually calling a thread. So make sure that you just start your thread because if you just don't start it, this thread will actually do nothing. So if once it is started, it's gonna actually start a new process. So this whole thing, this whole code is actually our main process, while this one is going to be a sub process of this main process, which gonna execute in parallel to our main process. So the job of this process is to actually write the audio. So this is what I've targeted it, that you're gonna actually call this function write audio. Now this write audio function will be executed in parallel to our main process or to our main code. So here we have this function of write audio, which is simply first of all taking that MP4 file using this class in the movie module, which is the video file claim, and then we're actually passing that MP4 file that we want to convert, and then we just extracted that video into audio. We just extracted it, and now we actually need to write that audio, and we just put it inside the try and example logs. So if there is some kind of error in writing the audio, then just gonna come to the accept log. But say that if there is no problem, then it's gonna actually display this message successfully converted on my success label at this position. And then we're gonna actually close the audio, and then we're gonna close the video because it has now been successfully converted. Okay, next, if there is some kind of error in writing the audio, then we can actually come inside the example log, and then we can actually see this message on our window as well, which is actually your assignment. Okay, so that was the application. I hope that you like it, and if you have again still any problem left, then you can actually directly message me, or you can just email me, or you can just ask your question in the question answer section, and I will just get back to you as soon as possible.